Hey guys, in this video we're going to be going for another Rank 1 all modifier perfect score clear on the DreamWraith. Now I know it is the last day, but I just got Knight's Grandshield and we're going to be using him. Now I feel like this clear is a lot more steady than my first Rank 1 clear. The damage is way easier to pull off, the threshold has been optimized to the point there is zero randomness in the threshold. Also, we have kicked off Fryevia off the party because she's kind of a dead slot, and I'm so disappointed in her. We've also kicked off Cressnik, who is kind of a dead slot as well. We don't need him for morale anymore. Now, on the other hand, we do need Chow for countering. I know those of you have been asking for a no Chow rank 1. Shout out to Wanderer. He did do a riser strategy that doesn't use Chow and does get rank 1. That may be more up your alley. But for now, we're going to be doing this strategy. So this is, if you have these units, it's pretty reliable to pull off. It's really very steady. Not really any RNG at all. It just relies on Chow countering. So I'll post the turn count chart and all that in the comments afterwards. So we're going to start Chow in the shift form and shift to the base on turn 1. We're going to start Ling and Esther in the base form and shift them on turn 1. Okay, now, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with Knight's Grandshield casting Courageous Roar. If you don't have that, it's optional. It helps, it's not required. Roberta in the shift form is going to Rousing, Imbue, and Emissary of Demise. Chow is going to Provoke, Focused, and Most Loyal. Ling is going to Blithe, Rallying, and Dragon Dancer. But first, let's shift Sky and do her shifted LB to stack it up and accuracy down. Then we're going to do Ling. And after Ling finishes, we're going to triple Stormbolt or Shatterbolt on Esther for morale fill. Okay, so as usual, we are evading the physical on turn 1. Boss has accuracy down and recovering the magic with Chow. Hopefully the boss does a bunch of magic attacks so that we can get a bunch of counters on Chow. You know, the more counters, the better. We do kind of want that morale. But thankfully, this clear doesn't really heavily rely on morale gain. So, it's kind of nice. Because we're using Knight's Grandshield and Esther, and neither of them really care about morale, even if we don't fill morale all the way to the maximum, it's not really a problem. So we are going to be here for a moment while Chow counters. You know, not a ton of counters on turn 1 because we didn't Omni cover. We're going to be doing Omni cover for the rest of the fight, though. So let Chow counter for a moment, fill the morale gauge, and then we will get it going. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're going to Omni cover with Chow. Now we don't have Cressnik on the party, meaning the boss has high damage to physical and accuracy on turn 2. Also, odd turns, he cures his attack break. That is very critical, you don't miss that. So we're going to use Golem. Oh, we're going to shift Knight's Grandshield first. Then we're going to use Golem. Actually, we can keep him in the base form this turn and use Golem for more morale fill. Yeah, we don't really need the shift on this turn. Let me actually adjust my chart, because we don't need the shift on turn 1. Anyway, okay, now we're going to go to the base form with Roberta. Let's go ahead and use Sky to stack her LB first again. And we're going to use Esther to triple Shatterbolt to break the boss again. That reapplies the attack break, which is very, very important, because we're not imbuing the boss. Ling is going to triple. We're going to Blithe. We're going to Assassin and Medium Stance for the racial mitigations. And then Roberta in the base form is going to Rousing, Mega Breath, and Support from the Skies. That's going to give us a 5-stack Mirage for the Lashing Darkness, which does bypass cover. Okay. Some more attacks. Now this time we're Omni covering with Chow. Now you notice that the physical damage is doing pretty low damage. That's because we reapplied the attack break and we used Golem. It makes the physical damage very, very minor. And then as far as the Lashing Darknesses, we 5-stack Mirage it to get rid of it. Or to Mirage it. Now some attacks. Now hopefully we get a bunch of attacks this turn, or a bunch of counters with Chow. We do want that morale gain to go up. So we'll be here for just a moment as Chow counters. Take a moment of rest. So turn 3 is a critical turn, by the way. Because the boss has accuracy buff on this turn, we need to get rid of that accuracy buff. Normally, I would perfect dispel it with Cressnik, but obviously Cressnik is not on this party. So we're going to be dispelling it with Roberta, but it is very, very critical that the first person in the turn that does their actions is Roberta, so we can reapply all the debuffs after the dispel. So, once all the countering is done, we will use Roberta to dispel the boss. Yeah, Chow is a little broken for this fight, and all morale fights. Okay, so, first thing we do, we shift Roberta, and we're going to Siphon to dispel the boss. We're going to Morale, and then we're going to reapply the Imbue, which also reapplies the Imperil, which is important. Okay, now we're going to shift Knights of Grandshell and stack his LB. Sky is going to stack her LB. Let's see. Esther is going to go to the base form, where we're going to stack her LB. Not stack it, we're going to apply the LB field. Chow is going to triple. We're going to True Guardian, Most Loyal, and we're going to Holy Flame on Knights of Grandshell. That's a 45% single target Holy Amplify, and we need that because we're not using his Magnus in Phase 1. We're kind of busy with Knights of Grandshell. Ling is going to triple. We're going to Blithe and reapply Human and Reaper Mitigation because they're only 3-turn buffs, and we need them to still be there on the burst turn. Okay. So no accuracy this turn. We did dispel the boss's breaks. So the physical damage is not a big deal. I'm sorry, we dispelled the boss's accuracy buff. So hopefully the boss does a lot of AoE, so we can get a lot of counters with Chow. It's only magical damage. All the physical can be evaded this turn. Okay, so we'll give it a moment for Chow to do all his countering. Now again, if we don't fill morale all the way, it's really not that much of a problem. If we do, we're going to overcap by a big margin. If we don't fill morale all the way, you know, we're still gonna damage cap, or we should. Depends on your gear, depends on your units, etc. But damage is really not that big of a problem with this strategy because we kicked off low damage Fryevia and 0 damage Cressnik, and now we have Knights of Grandshell to do a big chunk of damage, and then Ling is bringing much better killers for the entire party. And if you don't have Knights of Grandshell, they could be replaced with like Lara Croft or someone else. I don't know who. Someone. Anyway, so Chow is still continuing the counter. Hopefully Chow counters more and more and more and more and more all the way into the top 20%. Yep, we did. Keep it going, Chow. Keep it going, Chow. Keep it going. All the counters in the world. Do not stop until you hit 200%, please. It is RNG, but you know, we're looking good. I'm liking this morale gain. Okay, we might even max out the morale gauge potentially. Wait for the autocasting to finish. Okay, so turn 4. Once again, the boss is going to gain accuracy and he has no attack break. You got to break that attack again. First thing we're going to do is reapply Omni Cover with Chow. We're going to Golem again, because again, accuracy turn, we need that Golem. We're going to go to the base form with Roberta and do her base form LB. That's going to put up LB buff, Spear and Peril, etc. Sky to the base form. We're going to Tyvus' Spirit to get ready for the burst. Esther to the base form, where we're going to Calm, Bolting, and then Bolting. First of all, let's go to the base form with Ling, and let's do Morale Fill. Enthrall to reapply breaks. Don't use Disarming, we're saving that for phase 2. So we're going to Enthrall for breaks, and we need to Refreshing Twirl to make Chow avoid the Sinister Gale. Okay, and we can use Esther to do her setup. And oh yeah, and also we're going to do Resistant Will to fill morale gain. I should have done that earlier. Damn it. Oh well. So we got 196 morale. We didn't quite max it out. That's fine. I should have done a Resistant Will earlier in the turn. Damn it, I lost. That's like 5% morale that I messed up on. Oof. Oh well. So there's Chow. A little bit more dangerous on turn 4, but it's fine. Okay, so now it is time to burst. And we're going to be changing the way we do the threshold. We're going to be doing the jump strategy to remove all RNG completely from our clear. Okay, so Chow is going to be busy countering for a moment. Man, if we'd gotten 200% morale, we would have had really show-off damage, but oh well. And once he finishes countering, we will get to our actual damage. Come on, Chow. You're not helping at this point. I wanted lots of counters earlier in the fight. Now we don't need them anymore. Alright, here we go. A lot of auto casting. Let it all finish. Okay, we're going to shift Sky. Shifted LB. Base form LB of Esther. Shifted LB of Knights. Quad Mystic with Roberta. Okay, very, very critical here. We have to Brave Shift Ling on the burst turn. That reapplies Calming Garb, and I'll explain more about that during the gear section. There we go. Let's go ahead and do our attack and magic buff. Okay, so we're going to do the damage the usual way. You know, Esther and Ling are going to chain, Cap with Knights and Sky, and then Mystic with Roberta. So this, and that should be a very comfortable 2.5 or better. There we go. Okay, now we're going to shift our Chow, and we're going to jump with Windrake Horn. We're going to jump on our Ling, who is provoking. Notice Ling has 100% or better Dark Resist, even while the Imperil is up. We are still Dark Immune. Wind Resist does not matter because we're using Calming Garb, an undispellable auto mirage, and we shifted to reapply it this turn. So we're going to jump on Ling, and you'll see it's going to jump and wake her up, etc. So let's see what kind of damage we dealt. We did 3.05. We didn't even max morale. We did 3 billion. So here comes Chow to wake up our Ling. Boom. There it goes. There is our extremely 0 RNG threshold. Very trivial to deal with. But it's not over yet. It is turn 6. The boss is still in threshold mode. So to deal with the other half of the threshold, Ling is going to go to the base form. We're going to triple. We're going to Purifying to wake up the party. We're going to Refreshing Twirl to reapply double Mirage so that we Mirage the 2 incoming threshold attacks. And then we're going to Ferocity to fill 10 LB gauge, which we're going to need for Esther. So wait for this to finish. Okay, now Esther is going to shift. We're going to Shatterbolt. Wait a minute, before we do this. Yeah, that's right. We're going to Shatterbolt, we're going to Energizing Bunny, and we're going to Quantum Storm on Knights of Grandshelt. Sky is going to go to the base form, where we're going to Magnus, and then just whatever. We're going to go to the base form with Roberta and use her LB. And Knights of Grandshelt are going to Magnus for the Holy Amplify, and then just hit the boss with Holy damage twice. Now the whole party is going to go back to sleep. And by going back to sleep, it keeps Knights of Grandshelt in his shifted form. Now Chow will not go back to sleep because he was jumping when that sleep in peril went out. Therefore, he is not going to be forcibly slept like the rest of the party. So Chow now goes to the base form, where he is going to provoke, he is going to Focused Inspiration, and Most Loyal of Hearts to wake up the party. Okay, now turn 7, we're going to get ready for some damage here. Notice Knights of Grandshelt are still in their shift form. We're going to get another shifted LB out of Knights of Grandshelt. Sky is going to go to the shift form. We're not going to LB yet. We're going to triple Bolting Strike in the shift form. Esther to the base form, where we're going to Calm and double bolting. Alright, Ling needs to break the boss. So we're going to, with Ling, we're going to do a morale fill. We're going to do a disarming to break the boss. And we're going to do a transcendent performance to give physical mitigation to our Chow and a barrier. Okay, we're also going to do Roberta. We're going to triple. We're going to Magnus to fill LB gauge. We're going to imbue the party. And we're going to Mega Breath. Okay, now let's go ahead and do, for morale gain, let's, well, first of all, let's attack and magic buff. Let's also defense and spirit buff, because we're taking a little bit of damage with Chow here. And we're going to chain bolting with Sky and Esther while we get like a free LB out of Knights of Grandshout in the shift form. This is going to deal a nice chunk of damage to just help Phase 2 be a little bit easier. Phase 2 is still pretty easy regardless of the strategy. So Chow is not going to take a ton of damage, you'll see here. Even if the boss does some magic attacks, it's not going to hurt that much. So Soul Reap, if he does any, where's the Soul Reap? There we go, he did like 1,500. Yeah, it's whatever. Chow has full mitigation at this point. We are fine. There's the gravity. Gravity's going to hurt, but whatever. Now we're going to counter heal back up. Okay. So at this point, Knights of Grandshout is finally out of his shift form because we didn't sleep that turn, so therefore he was put back into the base form. So he's going to support chain with Esther's LB using extreme Nova frames that were granted by Esther. And this is probably going to be the end of the boss, but even if we needed all 10 turns to finish off the boss, it doesn't matter because Phase 2 is super, super easy with this clear. So we're going to just guard Chow in case we didn't kill the boss. We're probably going to, but just in case, we're going to guard him. Let's go ahead and do some morale fill stuff, resistant will, etc. Resounding will. Don't use the bottom skill. We're going to base form LB of Esther. We're going to quad Mystic with Roberta. Knights of Grandshout now in the base form. We're going to chain lightning from Esther. Sky is now going to cap that LB. But before we do any of that, let's go ahead and shift Ling. Let's use more morale fill. Let's do a human killer and a reaper killer. Okay. So let's go ahead and chain these guys up. We may or may not kill the boss. If we don't, it's okay. We just go again. We have 3 more turns. We did. That was fine. It was fine. Chow was guarding and provoking. All mitigations were up. Breaks were up. Chow was going to take maybe 10% damage. It wouldn't have mattered. Chow can guard the remainder of the fight. If you don't kill the boss on turns 9 and 10, just continue to tag chain Roberta. Continue to do Esther's rotation of LB and setup. Continue to LB and cap with Sky. There's a rank 1 perfect score. Here's the damage breakdown. So Knights of Grandshout did a big chunk in Phase 1. They are optional. If you don't have them, not a big deal. Esther did more because she had her full power of both rotations. Sky is obviously the queen of Clash of Wills, and then Roberta did pretty good as well. So here's the breakdown. Now, I'll talk about swaps in just a second. Let's show the gear and all that. So, perfect score, all modifier, and we do still have 16.5 at the time of this video, 16.5 hours remaining. I know this is a late video. I just got Knights of Grandshout last night, which is why I'm posting the video right now. So here is the team. Now, as far as swaps go, Knights of Grandshout are honestly not that important. They didn't bring anything critical. They were just like a bonus damage dealer. If you don't have them, Lara Croft is fine, Carton is fine. Who else? A big damage dealers, Kane would probably work. Maybe not Kane, because we do kind of need that party slot to Golem on turns 2 and 4. Someone has the Golem on turn 2 and 4. And Knights of Grandshout is a great option because they don't really have any setup. They just like stand around and they're easy. Lara Croft would also be a great swap because she doesn't have any setup either. She could just Golem on turns 2 and 4, and then she could do her volatile on the burst turn. Very, very simple. As far as who would chain with Lara, you can weave in triple bolting to the tag chain of Roberta. It's a little bit tricky. It breaks every now and then, but it does work. Takes a little bit of practice. So if you don't have Knights, Lara Croft is fine. So let's go ahead and go over the party and explain what's going on. So Chow, in the shift form, Seraph Staff, not important. That is not important. The boss does not ambush anymore, so ignore that. That was not critical. We do need single wield though, so definitely put something on him. Put like a non-elemental weapon or a fire weapon. There we go, fire weapon on Chow. Wind Drake Horn so he can jump, not dual wielding. Other than that, just some auto buffing, like whatever. And make sure he's sleep immune in the shift form. Base form is just bulk. We don't need any resistances at all. Completely ignore resistances. Give him 100% evasion. He technically only needs 50% now that I think about it, because we always have, yeah, he only needs 50%. I kind of went overboard on evasion. Oh well. Passive provoke, counter setup. So Blizzard Orbs, Looming Wrath, Coat. If you have it, if you don't have it, do the best you can. Here's the build. Sleep immune. Sleep immune is important because he does get slept during phase 1, so make sure you sleep immune. And yeah, counter build Chow. Roberta and Ignis in the shift form are using some Esperfill. That's kind of important for the Golem. So shift form is using Esperfill. Other than that, just morale fill stuff and whatever. Make sure they have at least 50% evasion in the shift form for turn 1. Base form is damage versus humans and reapers. There's the setup. There we go. 7,500 magic. Maxed everything. Knights of Grand Shout in the base form is using the Obsidian Bracer, the Paws of Prosperity. If you don't own the Paws, not critical. It helps. It's not required. Conductors, some evasion in the base form, a little bit of Esperfill in the base form, and there we go. Shift form is damage. So LB damage versus humans and reapers. Mine's only EX2, so there we go. I think he's maxing everything. Actually, I was only at 275 human killer. He actually really wants his card, but I'll get it one day. There we go. Esther, in the shift form, don't start her in the shift form. We do not want her auto-covering. That would be bad. Give her a source of counterattack so that she fills her LB gauge on turn 1 from her own counters. A little bit of Esperfill, a little bit of counter up with the Proof of Talent. There we go. 50% or better evade. Actually, she has that naturally. And give her a fire weapon if you can. Base form is just damage. Pure damage, no bulk needed. She never tanks in the base form, never provokes in the base form. So pure damage, maxed, and yeah, she did good damage. Ling is important. We'll come back to Ling. Sky in the base form, morale fill, whatever. Typhus' Spirit, there we go. Shift form is LB damage versus humans and reapers. There we go. We're using that card for the killers. Maxed, everything. Okay, now Ling's a little bit important. Okay, Ling is our provoker during the threshold. So, what she needs, she's a little tricky to build. I gave her Anima for Dark Resist. She needs, technically only in the shift form, but I geared both forms identical. So it's really only the shift form, but I just, for the sake of convenience, they're both geared the same. She needs a source of guts. She does not have natural guts. She needs guts. She needs Calming Garb in preferably both forms. This gives you, every time you shift, it gives you a permanent, undispellable accuracy stack. Mirage stack. What this means is during the threshold, the first attack of the threshold is a single target wind attack. That lets us ignore wind resist on Ling. So even though she's at like negative 250 wind resist, she auto mirages it and it cannot be dispelled. The boss will wind attack her and then miss. Then the boss will do a dark attack, which we immune. Notice our 300% or better dark resist. So all we need to gear is for dark resist. You don't need any evasion or anything, just dark resist and Calming Garb. And don't be fire immune. So 140 or less fire resist, or less. That way our fire imbued Chow will drop and wake her up. And because she's sleeping, she will never evade that attack. I gave her evasion. I don't know why I gave her evasion. That was dumb of me. And make sure she is not dual wielding. Do not dual wield because we need to use lightning fast Legends of Chain. If you're dual wielding, it'll break. And Passive Provoke is from Tulian's card as well as the Moogle Charm. If you don't have Tulian's card, a double Moogle Charm. If you don't have either, like Durandal and Jesse's TMR. If you don't have any of that, the Diadem, just give her Passive Provoke some kind of way. That way she provokes the threshold. And yeah, and then she can wake up the party. So I'll post a turn chart in the comments. This clear is, I feel, significantly more stable than my other clear. The damage is trivial. We didn't cap morale. Still did 3 billion or higher. All we needed was 2.5. Damage is a joke this clear. Threshold, no RNG at all. Very, very easy to pull off if you have Chow. That is the big disclaimer. It does require Chow. Anyway, hope he helps. You've got 1 day remaining on Clash. Go out there and get rank 1.